All right, buddy. What do you know? 1 minute early. Final day, SEC Media Days. Welcome in. Latest episode of that SEC podcast. Shane, 4 days in Dallas here. It's kind of sad to see it come to an end, isn't it?
It is. But I miss my bed. I miss my house. I miss my dogs and my wife. And not necessarily that order, honey, if you're watching. But hey, it was awesome. Like I said, just, we always talk about this. We've talked about it the last 4 days. It is the kickoff for college football, and it's upon us. We're doing the countdown now. We're almost a month away. And here in less than 2 weeks, the guys are going to be showing up on campus, and we're going to have some real, actual information coming your way.
Right. And with Media Days here, so we had to vote.
Yeah.
A media poll. I've already revealed mine. Cousin Shane during this program is going to reveal his. We got some more great interviews. We got Sam Pittman on the show 2 years in a row. That's a highlight, always getting these coaches on.
The Hitman.
Yeah, the Hitman, Landon Jackson. We also got Barry Trammell, first time on the show.
Yep.
I don't think he wants us to use his nickname that Heupel gave him. Jesse Simonton, Brent Northworthy, and many, many, many more, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing to remember, guys. The Media Days has ended, but the content hasn't. We've got a lot of interviews that we've not gotten out just yet. So be sure to stay, have your notifications on your YouTube, and whenever Mike gets that sent out, you guys are going to have some more coming your way.
Michael Raleigh says, why didn't Freeze come see his old pal Mike? He came
I ain't
over
gonna
here.
lie, man. It was a little awkward. One desk over, Hugh came in, and he kept giving us the look, and I was like, does he even know who we are? Surely he does. But it was a little intense. It was kind of like DeBoer and Saban there in the podium. It was just kind of an awkward conversation going on beside us. But hey, you did not
Cousin
make
Trey's
it to
got
the table.
a question for you. Cousin Trey?
Yeah.
Did Cousin Shane leak some names for the Hitman to take care of?
Brother, I tell you what, that guy's got a bright future in football, but he's got some options and opportunities. If you not check that interview out, it's going to be awesome. Has it been out? We've not put that one out yet.
Not out yet.
Okay, we talk about future.
Oh, it's great.
Oh,
Just keep
good.
teasing it. Keep teasing
Oh,
it.
my gosh. It's a good one. It was one of my – I kind of fanned out again. I do this. You got to remember, guys, I love college football. And, you get to see guys like Sam Pittman and even these football players. It's just it's almost fake. It's that imposter syndrome, like you just feel like you're not supposed to be here, and it's like they're coming over and they're talking to us,
Yeah.
So we had an absolute blast with those guys, and I appreciate Arkansas especially taking the time to let them come over to the booth.
Any other highlights aside from all the great interviews, the great conversations? What has stood out to you this trip to Dallas for SEC Media Days?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Just about how ready every team seems to be. And that's one of the things we're going to be talking about as the season progresses. This is going to be an unusual year, man. That one loss mentality and you're out is no longer real. You can have 2 losses and still get into a playoff. So that means that fan base is going to stay engaged a lot longer. And when you're talking to some of those bubble teams, just about every one of them didn't back down, didn't pull a Brian Kelly and say, hey, whoa, pump the brakes. A lot of them doubled down, said, yeah, we've got the depth to go, and we're ready to rock and roll.
Hey, we got Bradley Childress in the comments.
There he is.
Enjoyed the Media Days, he said.
What's that?
He said he enjoyed the Media Day coverage. We got Cousin Trey. He said Hugh would have came over if we had some call girls over here. And then how about Michael Raleigh? You'll like this one, Shane. I think Cousin Shane should be Corso's replacement on the game day. Thoughts on that?
Wearing the headpieces and everything. Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do after Lee, and unfortunately we're getting older, myself included. But, he's been an ambassador of that media, and I appreciate everything he's done. But I don't know if there is quite replacing Lee. I think that would be the mistake, is trying to replace somebody like Lee. That's like if something happened to me. I hope this show fails miserably when I'm gone. And no, I'm just kidding, Mike. I hope it continues. We were talking the other day. Mike was like, he's working out and shit and eating healthy stuff, and he's like, you should go to the gym. I was like, yeah, I said, I should go down there and cut some lbs. I said, but if I don't, I said, at least I know your strong bastards will be able to carry me.
So do you want to do your ballot now, Shane, or do you want to wait till the end?
Oh, it's up to you, man. Whatever you guys want to do.
Let's do the teams that went today first. How's
Okay,
that?
yeah,
We'll save it.
let's don't ruin their event.
Right. So, again, Sam Pittman, great interview, Shane. Let's cut over. Again, this is only portions. If you've not seen the full interview, go check. Well, don't check it out right this second because we're talking. But as soon as this is over, go check it out. We've published it. But for anybody that's missed it, let's play this little teaser, Shane, on... Shane always asks the best questions. Did Coach Sam Pittman get on the mechanical bull? Let's kick it over to him.
Last question I got for you, Coach, is have you been on that electrical bull yet? Did they get you up there?
Hell no. My hips all jacked up, man. Now, here's the deal. Here's with them electronics. If you ain't never done it real, then you don't need to go. I mean, the electronics for them folks that can't get on them real ones.
How many real ones you been on?
0. But I've been on a horse.
Yeah.
But at least it ain't the first time I ever jumped on an animal. You know what I mean?
Oh, I believe it.
But I've we were raised with horses. But I ain't never been. You see Barry Odom on that bull? That's dumb as hell. Did y'all see that? Yeah. I called him. I said, "What in the hell are you doing?" I said, "How much training you had?" She said, "Well, they taught me how to tie my hand. Gonna teach you how to go in an ambulance. Get back on that bull."
So I got to follow up, Shane. Did you get on the mechanical bull out of there?
No, it's funny. I've been on. I'm trying to think. 2 animals in my life. All right. One was at the Knox County Zoo. I think it was an elephant. I'm pretty sure it was. It was a large animal. I think I freaked out the entire time. I was a little kid. And then the other one was a horse. And I felt bad for the horse because I wasn't Cousin Shane today. I was a lot better shape back then. But even then, I was always a big guy. And I was like, man, this poor bastard got to carry me around. So I was like, that's it. But hearing Pittman talk about, jumping on it, I couldn't help but think of his motto and embrace the hog. I was just like, surely you've jumped on a hog at one time.
And then one other great one. Again, if you haven't seen it, go check it out as soon as we're done. But shout out our buddy Danny, Feinbaum producer. He gave us a little tip. Ask about the Garth Brooks concert. Here's Sam Pittman when I queued him up for it. Thing I got for you, Coach. I was told to ask about Garth Brooks concert there in Fayetteville.
Loved it. It was. We got Jamie got to use her suite during the game. We had the whole staff up in there and some friends. But Garth Brooks entertaining son of a gun.
Yeah.
Oh, you was told to ask about the $300 they gave, $300,000. Garth hey, Kyle. Garth paid $300K for us to resod our field. We re-watered it. hey, poor old Garth. We still got that $300K too. But the grass was better than it was the year before. But once he took all that plywood and all that stuff, man, that field looked terrible. And we had to change the spring game because of the Garth Brooks concert. And they said, "Oh well, we're going to get brand new grass, this, that, and the other." And we got $300K. I don't know where that went. I think the softball team went over to Mexico and played in a tournament. I don't think we got it. Did we, Kyle? I don't think we got that $300K.
Well, that's a nice suit he's got. I don't know. He may know a guy.
Maybe Kyle might have got it.
How great was that, Shane?
Again, it's just surreal. I've been a fan of Sam Pittman for a long, long time, especially when he was at UT. And, one of the things, the whole rumor mill, which we're going to get to and talk about all season long, about coaches and stuff. But there was a time, there was a rumor mill about him coming back and how pumped up Tennessee fans were that Sam Pittman was going to come back to the Hill, but never got him. So, I've just always been a fan of him, not only as a coach, but just, he's a good person. You can tell he's genuine. We've had a couple of coaches on, and I will tell you this, man. I think they came on because they're true. You know, they don't skirt around the issues. They embrace who they are and what they are and the situation they're in. And I just appreciate both the coaches that took time to come on the pod.
It's kind of like you, Shane. They don't BS. They get right to
right
it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I'm already thinking about what we're eating. I mean, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I keep looking down the clock and saying, how much longer we got? No, I'm just kidding.
All right, Shane. So the other team we had today, well, we had a couple, but one that really stood out to me, Texas A&M. Big year for Mike Elko and company to – I think it's great because they're flying under the radar. It's Texas. Everybody's forgot about old little A&M. Not me, buddy. But I really do think Mike Elko's an elite football coach. Bringing that in there, he's still got I don't know if elite's the right word, but probably a top 6 roster, I would say, in the SEC right now. Connor Wigman could be a breakout star. There's a lot to like about them fighting Texas A&M Aggies. Well, that was a question, Shane.
Oh, I thought you were playing a clip.
More of a statement, but I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and that's kind of I guess you would say the underlying, I don't want to say hot take, because I don't think Texas A&M winning football games should be considered a hot take, but, you know, that is one that just kind of came to a head a couple of times, you know. A lot of Connor believers out there, a lot of Mike Elko believers, and
a lot of home games too. I got the schedule up
brother,
here.
I got sold. We got what's his name on? Just I'm so bad at
Billy?
names. No, the one that was just here, our little Simonton.
Yeah, Jesse.
It's Jesse. I'm sorry, I'm so bad at names. But talking about that defensive line, you know, that's something. Again, you lose a guy like Walter Nolan, and you just think, oh man, they're going to take a huge step back when they could arguably have the best, if not second best, defensive line in the SEC this year.
Yeah, and that's a big reason why I like him. Coach Elko back. We get back to elite defensive play. I think we're cooking with something, and that is something Coach Elko kind of got into. Hey, we might be a lot closer than people realize. It may not take a whole long time to get us built up here.
Robert Cessna, the Bryan College Station Eagle. Mike, you often hear coaches reflect back on the problems they were able to overcome in year 1, year 2, and maybe even year 3 in building a program. Is there any way you can speed that process up in year 1, and do you already feel you're maybe ahead of the curve?
I think in this era of college football, you better speed that process up. I don't think this is a very patient era. I don't think you come to a school like Texas A&M that has the ability to do what we're capable of doing, and you want to talk about building for a future, but I think you got to be careful that you don't skip steps along the way. I think you've got to establish a culture. You got to establish identity. You got to establish a way that you want to play football, and you know, I'm excited because I think our kids have embraced that. I think they've bought into what we want to be about. They've embraced the direction we want to go, and I'm really, really happy with the progress we've made in my first 7 months on the job, and now we've got to go finish that.
I mean, wouldn't this be the year, Shane? The 1 year people aren't hyping up A&M. The 1 year Cousin Shane is doubting the Aggies.
Yeah.
This is the year they surprise everybody, shock the SEC, and make the college football playoff.
No one is more happy than Aggie fans when they saw I was finally off that damn wagon, you know? and I am. I am one of those that I think A&M's going to struggle this year, but, you know, for the last few years, I've said they're going to be toward the top, if not the top. So odds are you're probably happy if you're an Aggie fan.
And then one other thing, I thought this was great. This is not necessarily A&M exclusive, but it'll apply to them, no doubt. With the expanded playoff, Coach Elko says, just look at baseball. They expanded the baseball, and now we get to the finals, and it's basically all SEC. Man, what a dream scenario that would be for college football. And he thinks he could see it before coming.
Tulsa World 12-team playoffs with us now. What does that do for schools other than Georgia and Alabama, which sort of have a pretty good road to it each year? What does that do for everybody else?
Yeah, I think spending 4 years in this conference, there were a lot of years where I felt like there were more teams deserving of being in the playoff. I felt like at times, certainly for us in 2020, I feel like this conference has clearly established itself to be the premier conference, and now what you have is more access. And so I think if you look at the College World Series as a model, more access has led to a lot more all-SEC semifinals, all-SEC championships. I believe you're going to see something very similar in the college football playoff. I think the more teams from this conference that get in and get to compete in meaningful games on a national scale, I think it'll only help us enhance our reputation as the premier league in the country.
And I just think that's great, Shane, because that's the million-dollar question. Literally every interview you do, who you got in the playoff?
Yeah.
How many SEC teams can make the playoff? We've not been asked one time who's going to make the Final Four.
Yeah.
But the way Coach Elko sees it and the way we could certainly see it breaking out, I mean, we're talking 4 SEC teams. How about it?
Yeah, it could happen, unless they schedule it weird, you know.
Right, and they're facing each other.
Yeah, they'll probably do some sort of thing so that they're not stuck with another SEC championship game, which will probably happen. But, one of the things about it, Mike, is when I do think about the expansion of the playoffs, you go back the last 30 years, 20 years, and you look at all the champions, all the BCS champions, all the playoff champions, whatever. And how many times at the end of the season do we crown the team that's maybe not the best team in the country? Because how often do we have a early stumble, right out of the gate that kind of derails the opportunity that some of these teams had to compete for a championship? And that's kind of what, in my mind, is so nice about the expansion, is just you can afford a mistake early and not get penalized for it later.
Yeah. Well, and that's hopefully going to make November to remember in the SEC, because too many times, again, if you're a Georgia fan, if you're a Bama fan, I know it's great, but come November 1st, and we've already got the SEC championship game set, we've already got our playoff contender set. I don't know. I just hope that all the hype we're giving to this season, it's going to make it that much better for the entire season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's going to, man. I think everybody's afraid that every Saturday won't matter. I think it's going to matter. It's going to absolutely matter, because if you're not in that little bubble, you can knock somebody out, and
Right.
Sometimes that's what gets you extensions. That's what gives you an opportunity to stay employed at your current company, So I think that's the beauty of it, is if you can't win it all, at least you can spoil it.
Right. Now, the other team that was here today, Shane, Hugh Freeze in Auburn.
Hey, there he is.
And the message seemed to be pushed this media days was, we're building, we're doing it the old school way, patience. We've been hearing behind the scenes, they're not that they're concerned, but they know they're far from a SEC title contender. Hopefully, dark horse playoff, but I don't know how realistic that is this year, maybe in year 3. But what's your thoughts on a coach who that is the message? Is that smart? Because they're not trying to hype it up if that's how they truly feel. They don't want to get too much hype. You want to play spoiler. You don't want people coming. Or do you like it more when a coach comes in here and says, y'all going to be surprised what the team we've got?
Well, if you're not going to build through the portal, this is what you got. Too soon? No, I believe this is the right message. You gotta remember that we do want it now, and the problem is we've seen universities have the luxury to win immediately, and I don't think Auburn's in that situation. But if they can keep showing improvement year after year through the recruiting process, through the transfer portal, through just getting people in the right spot, man. I mean, sometimes you forget, your first year, you're just trying to piece this shit together.
Yeah.
You're just trying to put the best product out there that you can. And that's why I believe that you have your New Mexico State games. It's just those are going to happen when you're not a united front. But building something, absolutely. I think this is the right message to come in media days with.
Well, our good buddy Liquid, he puts it well, and this is my issue. So Auburn is now where Florida was last year, pitching the same hope and slow build. That sounds great. until you don't take that year 2 step. And I'm not saying they don't, but if they don't, that's where the problem's going to lie for Auburn and company.
Nobody here is penciling in Auburn. I haven't seen the votes yet, but nobody's going to have Auburn as an SEC champion. Nobody's going to have them in the championship game. But hope is built by finishing a game, maybe that you didn't win, but you saw a glimpse of what could happen there at the Auburn University. And that's why you're going to start seeing some of these young kids like Cam, or somebody like him just emerge, and you're just going to be like, you know what, man, the future's pretty damn bright here in the Plains.
Well, if they get there, Shane, it's going to be in large part because Peyton Thorne takes a big jump that he didn't quite frankly take in his year 1. Let's kick it over to Hugh Freeze, his confidence that Peyton Thorne will be a lot better quarterback this year.
Peck, ESPN 106.7 in Auburn. Coach, what have you seen out of Peyton Thorne that gives you confidence he's the quarterback that can help you win in 2024?
Again, I think it's 2 things. 3 things. I've seen him play at a high level at a Power 5 school. 2, I think in year 2 with us and him sensing the chemistry in the offensive staff room has bred confidence in him. But probably most importantly, I think he feels like if he's supposed to take a 3-step drop right now from the shotgun and throw a curl route, I think he feels confident that he has guys that can win. And when you're not confident on that they can win at the top end, you become really, really hesitant. And your throw's late, or it doesn't go off at all, and now the pressure comes, and those 3 things to me are the reason I'm optimistic for him.
So what do you think, Shane? You buying it? More confidence in your receivers, better quarterback?
Yeah, I do, because again, I know you're
Hook,
out on
line,
him.
and sinker there, folks.
I know you're out on it, but there's a part of me. I mean, this isn't Hugh's first rodeo. This isn't his first coaching job. He had opportunities to go out here and grab a name out of the transfer portal, I think. But I think he liked exactly what he had and had an opportunity to not have quarterback controversy like he had last season, and let Peyton have this. Let him have that confidence, because you got to remember, I mean, it wasn't just quarterback controversy in the offseason. It was during the season. Was Touchdown Robbie going to come in? Was Peyton Thorne going to lose his job? And this is a very, very mental game. And maybe he saw something like, hey, I want to squash all that. You're my guy. Go out there and do the job. So I'm expecting Peyton Thorne to take a big step forward this year.
Here's my thing, Shane. I mean, I'm just rolling through my head of quarterbacks that are uber confident, like Joe Burrow, like Cam Newton. And certainly we should not be comparing Peyton Thorne to those guys, but I think your confidence comes from the quarterback. It can't come from, what receiver we got? He's got to be that guy for the receivers. It can't be the receivers giving the quarterback confidence. I mean, they're doing it backwards. I truly do think. When the hell is the quarterback supposed to be the leader? And yes, they get too much blame. They get too much praise. I'm not trying to blame him, but this is ass backwards to me. We got some freshman receivers. We got confidence now out there.
Yeah.
I don't buy that.
Well, that's your opinion, Mike, and everybody has one, and I don't know. I feel like coming into the season, Peyton has a little more support, not just by his coaching staff, but by players. I mean, I think we've got a lot more talent around him for weapons.
Yeah.
I think a healthy Hunter. I mean, that's going to always make your job a little bit easier. So, I don't know. I'm not saying that Auburn runs the table or anything like that, but I do feel a little better about the university after media days here.
Yeah. And now here's one more from Hugh Freeze on where they are in the process and where they'll be by the end of the year, kind of thing.
Coach Michael Bronner at WNSP in Mobile. Building a program is obviously a process through 2 off seasons and 1 full season. How would you grade that process so far?
I think I'll be ready to judge that after this season. I do believe we've improved our culture, our chemistry, and our roster. most places, I think it takes you 2 full recruiting cycles to really get your roster like you want it when you inherit a program that was down. That's been my experience. But I've also, every place we've been, I think we've seen improvement in year 2. And so I know that we're on the right track. We're recruiting at a high level, so is everybody else, but we're recruiting at a high level, and the standard and accountability and culture is getting better, and the chemistry is among the staff is better, which is breeding confidence into our players. So I think we're on the right track. But what does that mean in win-loss total this fall? I'm not sure yet.
What do you think, Shane? You like the message?
It's the same message, man. And I'm sure all the players had the same message when they went in there. We are going to be better than last year. We aren't going to be as good as next year. That's kind of if you read between the lines, that's basically what we're saying here. Can they catch it? I think that's what you want. You don't want to be embarrassment. You want to make a bowl game, but you also want to catch a team that you're not supposed to beat, And I feel like that's where Auburn's at. I think they're going to catch maybe a team, if not 2, off, maybe they were underdogs in.
Cousin Philip says, too much sun for Hugh chasing co-eds poolside, question mark. That's Cousin Philip, not me. But that is pretty funny. All right, Shane, I don't want to say best for the last, but team that could surprise us all, except for Cousin Shane, because this is the team he's in on this year. Them Kentucky Wildcats came down here. They've been quiet this offseason, Shane. Quiet. We haven't posted it yet, but Kentucky Sports Radio boys had them on the show. They said it has been like Fort Knox up there. They're not letting anything out. They don't want any hype this year. They don't want to be talked about. And that tells me they probably think they have one hell of a team up there. Yeah,
I think so. I think that's where we're going to be. And
maybe not the star power of a Will Levis, a Benny Snell, of that, but it's more of a team, great team. They were telling us best defensive line they've seen since they've been started covering Kentucky.
Well, and that's what we were talking to Roush earlier, and that's kind of what they want. They want the doubters. If you got something negative to say about Kentucky, say it now, because that shit's getting posted in that locker room, and they're using it as fuel. So I believe that Kentucky is a sneaky good team, and if the stars, it's kind of like if the stars align type situation. If Lady Luck's in your corner, watch out, man. Kentucky may be that breakout team, but a lot of things have to go right.
Thoughts on my bold take, though, Shane? This giant, huge if, people are not paying attention to the if there. If they lose to South Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean, how bad could it be for Kentucky?
Well, the schedule is not friendly at all. For those that are listening, after South Carolina, you got Georgia, the shitty Ohio. I guess you could get that one. Ole Miss, Vanderbilt. It's more the home games for me. If you win the home games, Mike, other than Georgia, Kentucky's in great shape. It's the away games, the Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida, Texas. They got to steal one of those, in my opinion, to have a successful year.
I hear you.
Stoops ain't going nowhere, Mike. I know you pushing these boys out. No, because similar to Hugh Freeze, we're showing improvement. I just feel like if we come out with this schedule and have a 7, potentially 8-win season, come on now, give him another extension.
Speaking of that, Shane, he was gonna. You knew he was gonna get asked about it, so he had to address it. The A&M stuff. What happened there? Here's
funny. They're both here on the same day.
Here's how he handled it.
When the A&M job was open last year, were you offered it at all, and how close or not close were you to possibly taking it?
Yeah, I was pursued pretty aggressively by them, and we'll just leave it at that out of respect for everybody involved. There's a lot of people, over the years, and a lot of interactions between people, but it was very brief. I was pursued. I had a job to do, and I take great pride in. There's only another another stat that Tony gave me on the way here, but there's only been 19 coaches in the history of the SEC that have been 12 years at their institution. I'm proud to be a member of that group. I've been grinding at Kentucky for a long time and very proud of that and want to continue to do that. And again, we want more, but that's not nothing. The SEC's been around a long time with a lot of very good football.
That to me, Shane, sounds like a man that didn't get the job he wanted. I'm just happy to be here. Been here forever. I'll stay here forever.
I love this place. I love it. It's like when I send my resume over to ESPN, they did take me in. Mike, I want to stay independent. I want to stay broke, Mike. No, I'm just kidding. But it is kind of funny because we've all been in that situation where, that guy you work with is now your boss kind of thing, and you're like, you both put in for the promotion, but he got it,
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it felt like today with these two. But I know Mark, obviously he's going to say all the right things about Kentucky, and Mike's going to say all the right things about Texas A&M. But it was a storyline not too long ago.
Yep. Well, and then we got one more, Shane. We're doing this one just for you because you have already been on record. You think Barian Brown could be a breakout star. Let's see how they utilize him. They utilize him correctly. He's one of the more explosive players in the entire country. That's basically what Mark Stoops had to say here.
Huntsville, Alabama. Coach Stoops, I wanted to ask you about bringing Coach Shorts in from Houston and Barian Brown, who's I saw in high school an electric talent. He's done a great job as a kickoff returner for you, but been a little inconsistent as a receiver as you hired him. What are you guys looking to do to improve Barian's game?
Yeah, as I mentioned in my opening statement, very impressed with Tequil. Brought him in from Houston. Obviously he worked with Dana there, so he was taught really well. And he's done a very good job. I think with Barian, Barian knows he's a special talent and can do a lot of amazing things with the ball in his hand. He's worked really hard to become a more complete player. And really, I really appreciate the grind that he's going through because he knows there's just a lot of little details and a lot of things he's got to focus on. He's been so talented that he's always relied on that. And he's been much more consistent and working really hard. And, I'm looking forward to seeing how it translates to the field.
Cousin Anthony says, give Shane a raise, Mike. And then Liquid says, the Feinbaum and Shane show? I'd watch that. Who knows? Could be coming to a TV near you.
Oh, man. Hey, I back on Brown, brother, I just, if you are playing college football 25 right now, you got this kid everywhere. You know why? Because he's fast and he's super talented. It doesn't take what do you got to lose? This kid wants to go to the NFL. He wants to be like a Percy Harvin type player, and you do that by putting them all over the field. Just find creative ways to get him the ball, and I think that's what they do. I think Kentucky's. I don't think Stoops is dumb. I think he's done some dumb things in his life, but I do think that this is a glaring, obvious thing to do is get him the ball. Keyshawn Johnson said, "Give me the damn ball," he'd say. Kids don't even remember that guy. That was a big receiver when I was growing up.
All right, Shane, moment of truth here. It's time to reveal your SEC Media Days ballot. That's how this works for you guys. They send us this ballot electronically. You fill it out. The official media results will be revealed tomorrow. But until then, Shane, I want to know who you voted for.
Well, it's funny, too, because you got to do players. And I'm not going to lie, I struggled with long snappers this year, Mike. I did have to use a little Google there. But the teams were pretty easy, all right? So we'll go ahead and start from the bottom. We know who that's going to be. That's Vanderbilt Commodores. Got them at that 16 spot.
Agree.
And I think it's a wide gap, brother. I hate to say it, but usually Vanderbilt, we've made those cute arguments that they could beat somebody in the SEC. I don't think it happens this year.
Yep.
This one may surprise a few. Number 15, I've got South Carolina.
Oh, God, I forgot you hate Shane Beamer. Come on.
I don't hate Shane Beamer. I don't.
You're supposed to like all Shanes.
I do like all Shanes.
Okay.
I do, and I don't. And South Carolina fans probably doing cartwheels, as Steve Spurrier would say, because I'm picked them so low. But I it's kind of game picking here. I think that you lose that Kentucky game, and then I think it starts a spiral effect. I've got when you're looking at South Carolina's schedule, there's ODU, the Zips. Vandy possibly and Wolford, right? Those are your 4 wins. Now, where do you get the others? I don't see it. I don't see one game on here. Kentucky, you got Kentucky, LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, A&M, Mizzou, Clemson. Brother, that's a tough road. So that's why I've got Mississippi State a little bit higher, because I just think they find a game. If you look at Mississippi State, I got them at the 14th spot. I think they go undefeated the first 3 weeks, because I'm a homer. They're probably going to lose one of those games, but for the time being, I'm going to pretend like they win them all.
Arizona State's not that good.
No. UMass, they got that one. But can this team get to 5 wins? And I think they can by either Florida or A&M or Arkansas. I think one of those – They could surprise somebody in that Jeff Lebby system. So that's kind of why I've got Mississippi State a little bit higher in South Carolina.
Hey, real quick, Michael Riley says, is it cock over for the Gamecocks? That's a good one. That's a good one. All right,
Embrace I'm just, never mind.
Who you got 13?
13th spot, I got the Florida Gators. Your Florida Gators.
Come on, Shane. This is you being
this whole propaganda. I don't know what Billy Napier's paying you. You've been trying all off season to get me back in the fold and say the Florida Gators got a shot this year. Brother, the Florida Gators do not have a shot this year. I mean, I hope they beat that's where I'm at. I hope they beat Miami. I hope they beat Texas A&M. And that's before they get into the meat of their schedule. So sitting here in July, I feel like this is going to be a long year for Florida Gators. The crazy thing is this isn't power rankings. So remember, this is how I think they finished the season.
Right.
I think the Florida Gators are not the 13th worst team, 13th best team in the SEC. I just think by the time these 12 games are played, this is where they're going to be sitting.
And one thing, Shane, I am a big believer in momentum in college football.
Yeah.
And you're right. All the positives I have about Florida, if they don't get that momentum, they're cooked.
Week 1, man. I know listeners are tired of hearing it, but if you lose to Miami, that's the momentum. That's the killer. That's the dagger, and it starts it's downward spiral after that. So 12th spot, I got Arkansas Razorbacks. We had Sam on, love them dear. I just think, this is going to be a tough year, buddy. This may be the last year. And Sam, he's been on record talking about he understands he's on the hot seat. He's going to run toward it, not away from it. So who knows? Maybe Arkansas surprises a few folks. I think it's those close possession games, those last drives. If this is a team I'm a little more uncertain about, just because I love Green, and I think that he's not getting the respect he deserves. We got to see him today. He's a giant.
Yep.
And he's quick as hell. So, yeah, I've got Arkansas. Above them, I've got your Auburn Tigers. That's at the 11th spot. I was going to move a little bit higher, but Hugh Freeze gave me a bad look today. I didn't say it. This is that SEC podcast, but that's Mike and I'm Shane. So I feel like your team's going to be improving. But since you gave me that mean look in the lobby, I dropped it down below Kentucky. Wildcats at that 10 spot.
Wait, Kentucky, your breakout is number 10?
Yeah, that's just showing you how strong the SEC is, man.
Yeah.
Because once you get to that 8 spot, you could argue all those can make a college football playoff. So, 2 spots away from there, that's a breakout. I think Kentucky fans would like that. I'm not saying it's going to be I'm not saying they're going to the playoffs or anything. I just think a lot of people are talking bad about them, and they're going to be sitting there 6, 7, possibly 8 wins by the end of the year.
I got you.
Now, your Texas A&M Aggies here, I've got the 9 spot. That's right. I've had them at like 1, 2, 3 the last couple of years. I brought your asses down where you belong, and that's in that 9 spot. Now, I'm not saying you can't climb this list. You probably will, and still clip this shit and talk about how bad of a picker I am. You're right. I am. I cannot ever. I haven't been able to get a pulse Texas A&M for a long time. I have no idea. And I feel bad. Like, if you're talking about ones that I'm putting in that I feel the worst about, it's Texas A&M, because I don't know if it's the Billy Lucci effect, but I'm starting to think that Connor can be the guy. You know, I'm starting to think that this defensive line is legit, and I'm like, I'm keeping them there, Mike.
Wait, when you say you feel bad though, is it just that you? I mean, this is yours, your selection. So this is not my opinion or anything, but just that your confidence is wavering, that you have a good feel for this team, basically.
Because I told you earlier that 8 to 9 is for me a college football playoff bubble, and me having them at 9 is basically saying I don't see A&M having a shot for that playoff.
I got you.
The rest of the teams I can, but A&M I don't. And it's not – the problem I have with A&M is some of those swing games they have are early. Notre Dame right out of the gate.
Yep.
I pray they beat Notre Dame, because I hate Notre Dame. But if they don't, that really makes it tough to consider them a playoff team, toward the tail of the season.
Well, keep doubting them, Shane. They very much appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah, they're all happy. Newcomer, Oklahoma, got them at the 8th spot. So now we're kind of in that bubble. I can definitely see Oklahoma. I've been on many of Oklahoma shows this week.
Yeah.
I feel like they have got, other than Florida, the toughest schedule in the SEC's toughest draw. I do think that if you take Oklahoma and you give them a Mizzou schedule, you give them a Texas schedule, I think they're playoff bound. But I don't think they are this year. Fringe, but I don't think they are this year just because of that schedule. That's
fair.
Happen.
I think that's very fair.
LSU, number 7. The LSU Tigers. Again, a team that, honestly, after media days, like the least talked about bubble teams. Everybody likes Garrett. And I don't want to say it's just all been bad, but they're so quick to talk about these other teams. LSU has been one of those that just, we know Brian Kelly's a good coach. We know that they're going to be right there in the mix.
20 wins in the last 2 years. Very few teams in this league can match that.
I know. And can they continue it? And it's one of those things, like, I don't know, maybe it's just, it's fun not to put them in the top 5, even though they're probably going to be there. Speaking of somebody used to being in the top 5, I've got Alabama at that number 6 spot.
Ooh.
Oh, man, let that sink in for a second. Alabama. Look at you way down there on the bottom of this list. Just think about that, Mike. How many years have we had Alabama 1 or 2? That's the trendy pick, is to put Bama at the 2 spot. I got them at the 6 spot. Now, I'm not saying that they can't be one of those teams to make the playoffs and make some noise, but you got to, let me face the facts.
This way, though, Shane. How many teams on Alabama's schedule do you think they can't beat? Because I only see one that you can make that case.
That Alabama can't beat?
Correct.
Yeah, I would say 2.
Oh, who's the second one?
I think no, I'll go with Georgia. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I guess, yeah, you're right, because even if it's at home, shit.
But that doesn't mean they're going to do it. But I'm just saying.
I saw the red logo and I just got PTSD again. Yeah, I really hate. I hate to say it, but I think there's going to be some growing pains. This is the rest of the teams that we're going to be talking about don't have first-year coaches,
right?
And then, again, they're not in a total rebuild, but they are in a little bit of a rebuild here. And a lot of those key matchups that they're going to have is going to be early. And the reason I've got the Tennessee Vols ahead of them is just right now I feel like Tennessee could beat them. And that's why I've got them 1 spot. Tennessee's schedule is a lot easier than Alabama's. They got some sneaky games at North Carolina State. I worry about it because Vegas is worrying about it.
Right.
But I do like the Tennessee Vols, not because I'm a homer, but because they're finally good again, Mike. Number 4, now we're in the top 4. I've got Ole Miss Rebels.
Ooh.
Yes. Now, you're probably wondering why, because a lot of people have Ole Miss higher.
Yeah.
And I went back and forth here because I thought, in my opinion, this is the best team that Lane Kiffin has put together. This may be the best team that I've ever seen play at Ole Miss.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm old, and I've seen a lot of good teams. I remember the Eli Manning days, and I'll never forget the time Lane Kiffin was our coach, and we got our ass smoked by, was it Dexter McCluster? I think he had like 45 touchdowns in that football game. It was unreal. But I've seen some good Ole Miss teams, but I still need to see it, man. Because the big games, you think about Georgia last year, you think about the Bama game. We talk about how Ole Miss should beat them, could beat them, but they just don't beat them. So I may be totally wrong on this one, but that's kind of where I'm at. I like their schedule. I like the bye week placements, but I do think when you're looking at these next two, you're kind of splitting hairs.
Okay.
Number 3, newcomer to the SEC, the Texas Longhorns.
You're drunk.
Well, I think they got a good team, man.
Yeah.
I think they got a good quarterback. I know we've got new pieces in that wide receiver room, and we've talked at links to every Oklahoma show, every Texas show on why they should be or can't be good or bad. I have a gut feeling based off that schedule alone, they're going to be hovering toward the top of the SEC by week 12. So that's why I got Texas at that 3 spot. Final 2, I've got Mizzou at the 2.
Can't even get an original ballot here, Shane. Come on.
Did you have to? You had them at 2, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just schedule alone, man.
We're just smart guys.
Talent.
Is what it is.
I know a lot of people are expecting Mizzou to flop. And maybe they do. I don't know. What do I know?
The fact we both got them up here suggests they will flop
that's
pretty
not
hard.
Double cousin curse, is it?
I think it is.
I did go round and round Mizzou and Texas, going back and forth, but I feel like Mizzou, I think this is the year, man. I really do, and I don't know if it's just the just
and you
the
said
attitude.
that before,
I know.
and unlike A&M, you've been right on that one.
Yeah, so we're going to stick with it. Mizzou at 2, making an SEC championship. Unfortunately, I got you losing to Georgia Bulldogs, though, because Georgia is just a damn machine.
Yeah.
And right now, they are the new Alabama, and until somebody kicks them down. I know they lost one game, but what was it, 3 years in a row they've not lost a game during the regular season. So
right.
This team is just an absolute beast, and I've got them at that 1 spot.
All right, Shane, so wrap it up. Any closing thoughts? We got the loud people coming through again here. SEC Media Day.
Fan club's here.
But, man, what a media days. We don't have the forklift like we had last year walking through, thankfully. Now we got the fan club here. Anything as we close out another media days? Can you believe how far we've come, Shane? I was looking back at a video. I think it was just 3 years ago. We were doing media days. We were obviously both virtual, but not even here. To go from not there to all this stuff we've done, I mean, it blows my mind.
Well, yeah, it's still. I mean, we got Paul Feinbaum walking by. We talked to Peter Burns for a little bit. Not name dropping, but I did. I did. Kind of a big deal. No, just kidding. But it's just so funny to think the only reason we're here, man, is because the cousins out there that took time to listen, to spread the word, to tell